para ustedes ya, música y estrellas. Esta noche se inicia nuestro programa con la actuación de los Zafiros.
Caminando por las calles del pueblecito natal, con su tipo espiritual, ella va luciendo el taller, con la bata remangada, sonando su chancletica, los hombres levantan a la linda mulatica, los hombres levantan a la linda mulatica. Con su tipo espiritual, ella va regando flores, con la bata remangada, sonando su chancletica, los hombres levantan a la linda mulatica, los hombres levantan a la linda mulatica. Que camina, que camina. Cuando me quiere esa mulatica, otra chancletica le voy a comprar. Que caminando va, que caminando va. Si esa mulata a mí me quisiera, que banquetico yo me iba a dar. Que caminando va, que caminando va. Caminando va, guarachando va. Que caminando va, que caminando va. Que los zafiros son, que los zafiros son. Permita Dios te disguste con el que te va a llamar. Permita Dios te disguste con el que te va a llamar. Y no te puedes casar con el hombre que te guste. Y no te puedes casar con el hombre que te guste.
Yo vengo regando flores desde Santiago de La Habana. Yo vengo regando flores desde Santiago de La Habana. Beso a quien me dé la gana. Busco caricias mejores. Caminando va, guarachando va. Nicolás, Nicolás. Ay,
Hi, this is Susie Hansen. And you're listening to KPFK 90.7 Canto Tropical.
Salsa for Southern California, Canto Tropical.
This is KPFK 90.7 FM Los Angeles. You're listening to the Canto Tropical show. My name is Armando Nila. I will be with you until 10 p.m. tonight. And as you know, we are in fun drive mode. But at this time, I would like to welcome Mr. Lorenzo DeStefano, who produced and directed a DVD about Los Zafiros, the group that we just heard. Lorenzo, how are you doing?
Armando, nice to be with you.
Likewise. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, Lorenzo.
Well, I'll isolate it to what's related to Los Zafiros in a way. I'm originally from Honolulu, Hawaii, and a filmmaker, writer, director, theater guy. And I first went to Cuba in 1993 directing a play by a friend of mine, Susan Rubin, for the Festival del Caribe in Santiago. So that was my first experience in Cuba, an island nation, just like where I'm from. And I was a photographer as a teenager, pretty serious street photographer in Hawaii. And Cuba kind of kicked in my eye again. I had to stop taking pictures for a while. So I associate Cuba with revitalization of my senses, you know, as it will do. For anyone who's been there, they know that. Beyond the touristic thing, Cuba's a deep and rich place. Anyway, so in 2000 or so, I heard about this group, Los ZAFIROS, an album called Bossa Cubana that was put out by World Circuit Records in London, the same company that did Buena Vista Social Club. And I kind of fell in love with the group, and then the story behind it. The 2 surviving members out of the 5 were alive, one in Miami, one in Cuba. So it started to shape up as a first-rate story, you know. I didn't want to just make a music film. I'd done one before, and I'm always looking for a story there. And boy, I certainly found one.
Yeah, it sounds like similar to the other Cuban group that was rediscovered, correct?
Which one?
Buena
Vista?
Yes.
Well, different in the sense, Buena Vista was not a group per se. It was a bunch of musicians put together by World Circuit, and a lot of those people. I mean, I think Ry Cooder may be involved in some of that, but it was basically produced by Nick Gold, and so it was a traditional, different than Los ZAFIROS sound, as you know. It's more traditional, beautiful stuff. I mean, Omar Portuando and Compay Segundo and some great people, and Manuel Galban, who was part of Los ZAFIROS, later became part of Buena Vista. But Los ZAFIROS is a strange anomaly, you know, of American Doo-Wop from the late 50s. The Cuban Revolution happens in 59. Things are cut off, but as we talked about earlier, when you forbid something from people, that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So in the case of American culture, American music, and these guys, Los ZAFIROS, these 4 guys, and then later Galban as music director, were just natural talents. Street guys from urban Havana, you know, that weren't trained or anything. And they came together. There was an early promoter named Nestor Mili, who doesn't get credited enough for what he did. I think he was principally behind that song you just played, La Caminadora. But later others came, Oscar Aguirre de Fontana, great Cuban songwriters, Jose Robles Diaz, Rolando Vergara, Luis Chanivecchi. These are great composers, and they got onto this group, and they said, "Well, this is the group I want to hear do my songs."
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how they became famous there.
Yeah, are you familiar with the group Vocal Sampling?
Yes, I am.
And I'm wondering if they may have been inspired by the harmonies of Los ZAFIROS.
Well, it's hard not to be. You know, there's a group in the film called Los Nuevos ZAFIROS that is still around. They're pretty active, and there's a guy there it was formed in the 80s by El Chino, one of the romantic heartthrob of Los ZAFIROS, in his less than glamorous days when he was an alcoholic, and he died in 95. And this was an effort to get something going, and so they played with a bunch of younger guys, and they played with him. But he was a shadow of his former self, and there's a clip in the movie that's a heartbreaker, you know, where a video given to me by the leader of Los Nuevos, of him trying to do the old romantic lead, you know, but it just, hey man, nothing stops the clock, you know. Not to mention he was ill and alcoholic, you know. So that I tapped into a story unknown, like a great documentary project should be. You learn as the audience learns later after you put it all together. You learn as you're shooting or researching that whether there's deep water here or it's shallow, you know. And this was particularly deep. I got lucky, you know, with this one. And I was privileged to be embraced by Cubans and in Miami and in Havana to tell this famous story of this group. This is not some unknown group, you know.
Any difficulties along the way?
Well, money always, but cooperation, no, is great. The CANTO family in Miami and many, many others, and the Galban family in Havana and many others there. I don't know, they trusted me, and I'm glad they did, because, I was entranced by principally by the two living guys, Miguel Cancio, the co-founder, who lives in Florida now. He's the only surviving guy now. He's in his 80s.
Wow.
And Manuel Galban, who died a few years ago, who was better known as a musician later with Buena Vista and with Rai Cooder, and won a Grammy for Mambo Sinuendo with Rai.
Mm-hmm.
So those are great families, and without them, it's no story, no access, especially for a North American guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was a pretty cool experience.
Now, I have the soundtrack here. Any other particular song that we can play to give our audience a listen to some more of their material? Anything?
Well, let me pull it up here because you caught me by surprise. I certainly know I produced that soundtrack, but it's been a while. But let me take a look. Yeah, there's so much there. It was 25 tracks, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many you're planning to play in this segment, but, La Caminadora is a very upbeat piece, with that sound of the train that they did. It was just unbelievable. One of the great highlights is Mi Oración, My Prayer, which is their version of the Platters song, which you may want to save for last if you think about that, because that's Ignacio Alijalde at his most beautiful vocal range,
Mm-hmm.
I think Congoleri, number 7, Congoleri is a very Calypso kind of upbeat piece. I mean, your choice, there's so much there.
Okay, we'll take a listen to that right now. Selection number 7. Let me put you on hold, and we'll fire that off. Hold on. And we're speaking to Lorenzo DeStefano. We're going to listen to selection number 7 so you can get an idea, a little bit more music from Los Zafiros. Here we go.
Te vas, no me opongo, ve a bailar la rumba.
Hi, this is Susie Hansen. And you're listening to KPFK 90.7 Canto Tropical.
Salsa for Southern California, Canto Tropical.
This is KPFK 90.7 FM Los Angeles. You're listening to the Canto Tropical show. My name is Armando Nila, Caballero Salsero. I'll be with you until 10 p.m. And on the phone, we have Lorenzo DeStefano. And that was definitely some rhythmic doo-wop there, Lorenzo.
Yeah, man, that was just, I hadn't listened to some of this stuff in a while. Yeah, they, you know, this idea of this post-revolutionary group comes around in 62. A big hit locally grows. The Beatles of Cuba, they were called, right? And I think it was appropriate. In a difficult time, historical time. The revolution was triumphant in a way, but also difficult, you know. Many decades of abuse and exploitation. And, you know, Cuban Revolution, world politics, no matter how it turned out, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A major upheaval. And so this group comes along with, like the Beatles, with the, after Kennedy assassination, the world is flipped.
And it's interesting how they incorporate, you know, the doo-wop sound with traditional Cuban, you know, rhythms and music.
Yeah. That's those composers I mentioned, you know, that come and influence that. It wasn't a sound alike like the Platters or the Moon Glows or Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers and all that. It was different because of culturally. At one point, Galban says in the film, it's from the neighborhood. It's from the people. You get it? He's telling me, right, in the interview. You get it? I said, yeah, I get it. And the interviews we did in the street with my friend Mirta Ibarra, who's a very famous actress in Cuba, a film actress, lend credence to that, because we went through the streets of Cayo Hueso with cameras and a boombox, and we played Los ZAFIROS, and these drunk guys start singing along to Belicita, which is maybe something you can play later. Belicita is a great piece by Robles Diaz. Anyway, they're alive in the streets all these years later, and this film was shot in December of 2001, and we were going to go in September of 2001, and you know what happened then, right? 9/11.
Oh, yes, yes.
We delayed a little bit, but we figured if we didn't go soon, Cuba was on the list, you know, already politically, and so we got in, we had permits already, and we just shot it, you know, and got out before things got too hot. But so that's the film is now a little over 20 years old, and a lot of people are dead, you know. Only one guy left, and many of the side men that we shot with and filmed, they're gone, you know. Cachaito Lopez, the great bassist, you know, the son of Cachao, you know, great people. So it becomes an artifact, right?
Right, and it's great that people can, you know, look through that window once again, in time, to see the, you know, get a better perspective of these groups that have been long forgotten, but, you know, brought back to life by, you know, people like you. Now, the film has won awards as well.
Yeah, it did well out there. You know, when it came out, it won it was the Imagen Award, which I think is still around for Latin programming. It was an LA thing. It won Best Feature Documentary, which was a surprise to us. And you know, in Cuba, this Santiago Alvarez Festival, which is a famous documentary festival there, Berkeley, and in Italy, and so on. Yeah, it did okay. It's I think it's nostalgic without being cloying, you know, and it strenuously avoids politics beyond showing the time frame and when all this stuff happened, like I just mentioned, the revolution. And there's clips of Fidel and JFK and the Bay Pigs thing. But then we dispense with that. But it's important to frame it, But then, as was advised to me by Cubans in Miami and Cubans in Cuba who don't agree on too much, they agreed on the fact that there should be the music and the people,
Mm-hmm.
And I followed their advice, and I'm glad I did,
Well, let's take a listen to, the one I'm going to choose is selection number 9. That definitely has some harmonies there.
That's a great.
Herido de Sombras. And I noticed there's two versions of it.
Yeah, let me see what the deal is with that. The second one is Los Nuevos. You want to play 9? That's the actual Los Zafiros.
Yeah, that's one. That's one that caught.
So you can hear the similarity. But if you play 9, that's the real.
Yeah, that's the one that caught my ear.
Yeah. Good.
So we're going to listen to Herido de Sombras by Los Zafiros, and here we go. Herido de Sombras by Los Zafiros, and
Herido de sombras, herido de sombra, por tu ausencia estoy, solo la penumbra me acompaña hoy, perdido tu amor, no podré disfrutar de felicidad. Sí, destino fijo, como el humo voy, surcando el espacio, buscándote estoy. Tal vez no te encuentre, quizás te perdí, para siempre amor. Recordaré tu mirar, tu sentir, no lo puedo evitar. Y sufriré añorando el ayer. No te puedo olvidar. Herido de sombra, por tu ausencia estoy, solo la penumbra me acompaña hoy, perdido tu amor, no podré ser feliz jamás, jamás, herido de sombra.
Hi, this is Susie Hansen. And you're listening to KPFK 90.7 Canto Tropical.
Salsa for Southern California, Canto Tropical.
And we are back with Lorenzo DeStefano. And Lorenzo, I've got this warm, fuzzy feeling, and my heart is palpitating just listening to that song. Excellent. And that is what people can expect to see when you pledge for that DVD, Los Zafiros. The title is Music from the Edge of Time, correct?
Yeah, Los Zafiros, Music from the Edge of Time, yes.
And all you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is give us a call at 818-985-5735, option number 2, or go to kpfk.org and just request that DVD for a donation of $60. And you're not buying the DVD, ladies and gentlemen. This is a way of KPFK thanking you for your donation of $60. And this would make a great graduation gift, a great Father's Day gift, a great birthday gift. And speaking about birthdays, my birthday's on Thursday. So if you want to send me one. But nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, 818-985-5735, option number 2. Now, Lorenzo, I have a question. Why is KPFK an important media outlet for, people such as yourself?
Well, I tell you, I've been listening to KPFK for a time, and I live in Ventura now. I was in LA for many years working as a film editor and filmmaker. But I've noticed the consistency there in terms of, not to mention social issues and progressive ideas and through Pacifica and everything. But musically, you guys are top of the game, in terms of thematic expression of music. So I think there's, an important place for KPFK to continue. You guys seem to be in a healthy place. I know it's a difficult thing to continue funding these activities, but people should support. And I'm happy to be contributing a bunch of DVDs of the movie because what benefits me in the sense my work gets seen by people who would maybe not notice it. There's so much out there, as a glut of entertainment and material that you have to fight for attentions. And sometimes great things, like Los ZAFIROS in the real world, in real time, slip through. And it's you're a lesser person, not for not seeing my film or anything, but for missing out on this group,
Yes, we have to thank you so much for your contribution of making those DVDs available. Thank you so much for that, because it's people like you that make KPFK's world go round. As you know, we are listener sponsored, and you don't hear any commercials here on KPFK. And our goal is to provide our audience with the highest quality entertainment and information, and be the first one on your block to pick one of these up for a $60 donation. Call 818-985-5735, option number 2. And we're coming up to the end of the interview, Lorenzo. Any future projects down the pipeline?
I made a music film after this called Hearing is Believing, about a fantastic young blind musician, the composer named Rachel Flowers. That's Hearing is Believing.
What instrument?
People want to hear more about that. But Hearing is Believing was my third music film. Los ZAFIROS is my second.
Mm-hmm. And
my first one was Tal Farlow, a jazz guitarist, who you may or may not have heard of. So I made 3 music documentaries, and I'm steering more towards, I published a novel last year called Houseboy, and I'm doing more fiction and nonfiction and theater now. So trying to mix it up,
Right. Excellent. Well,
making movies is too expensive, man. Got to go back to the writing studio and save money,
Well, the thing nowadays, everybody wants to make a movie on their iPhone, right?
God bless them, man.
Yeah. Well, we're going to close the interview with track number 24, Mi Oración. And
I think it's 25. Yeah, 25.
25?
Mi Oración. Yeah, a quick intro to that. That's a great tribute to the Platters, My Prayer. And that closes the film as well, so appropriately so. Thanks, Armando, for having me.
Okay, let me see if I can pull that up here. I'm showing 24 tracks, but we'll give it a shot. Either way.
Whatever you got there.
Thank you so much, Lorenzo. We really, really appreciate your assistance and your donation, and thank you for the time for taking the interview. And Lorenzo,
you're welcome. Mucho gusto.
Yeah, Lorenzo will be on the air with Kathy. I believe is it the 19th on Global Village.
Yeah, Monday the 19th, I think at noon on Global Village, yeah.
Okay, so tell your friends. Once again, Lorenzo, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for donating. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, 818-985-5735, option number 2, or go to kpfk.org. And we're going to send him out with that Los ZAFIROS track.
Cuando ya yo comienzo a cantar esta oración tan feliz que esta linda oración que no quiero entender, y esta gran sensación pidiendo perdón por el perdido amor que hay en mi corazón.